Hello everyone. You are welcome to the inaugural introductory lecture of Survey Camp 2021. I am Gayan Vanasinghe, the camp coordinator. Let's move to the details of the surveying camp. So it is scheduled from 13th December to 23rd December 2021. And on each day, the normal working hours from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. The venue is Kotmale International Training Institute, which is normally called as ITI. This is the location from the Gampala area. You can approach the center, the campsite through Gampala Navalapitiya Road, or there is an alternative access from Gampala Nuvaradiya Road. The main objectives, first one is to plan and conduct a ground surveying independently with the minimum supervision. Remember, this is different from the surveying practical classes you had in the university. This is where you have to work independently. So if all the decisions should be done by yourself. And you have to select the surveying technique with the available equipments, and finally plot a detailed map and a detailed contour map on the given site. And not only surveying, so this is coming as a part of engineering project. After you produce the plan, you will be given an engineering project. It can be a building, irrigation, or reservoir, that kind of project where you have to do the setting out of a given part of the particular project, and also the calculations for the feasibility reporting. So this is the contribution of this survey camp to your final marks for the continuous assessment as per the curriculum. The number of students, although it is 100 and around 40 students registered, but we still look at for the final grouping. That will be done after you arrive to the survey camp. On that camp, there are 9 sites have been selected, and you will be occupied to these ones with the proper grouping. So this is the schedule of the survey camp. So this is the work schedule. So you'll be arriving the site on 12th Sunday, and from 13th morning you have to visit the site and do the planning work, which will be explained later. And from 14th to 18th, there are including planning work, there are 7 days, 6 days to do the survey measurement or field work, and finally produce the map on 19th. Then you'll be having the main assessment on 20th. After that, the setting out and other works will be from 21st to 22nd, and the last assessment during the camp would be on 22nd afternoon and on 23rd morning. Then at the afternoon of 23rd, we have to leave the survey camp. So these are the exercise. So the exercise has 2 major components. First one is the surveying part, where you have to do the planning work, detailed survey and the contour survey and the plotting. And on the plotting, we will have the engineering survey, that is setting out and the calculation. There are 9 sites, and in each site there will be 2 groups working parallelly. The sites, so this is where the sites are located at in the near the site number 2, which is the irrigation center where we are staying. And there are 5 sites which is quite closer to the center, and there will be another few sites little far away. Transportation and other things would be provided for you to arrive the site and come back or to return from this site for the site number 6 to 9. Right? So it is for each site there is a specific project will be given. For example, for site 1, it is a reservoir improvement project. So you have to, so this is your control area. Right? These charts will be shown by your respective instructor of the site. Then you have to do the land survey around that one, and on that area you have to first develop the map and the contour map, and on that you have to develop the given project. Right? The project is different from site to site. For some sites you have reservoirs, irrigations, buildings, and these ones would be explained by the instructor once you reach. Now the main exercise, first one, the part 1 is going for 7 days, including the planning day. And for the engineering survey and setting out and other works, you have 2 days. For the part 1, for the planning work, which is scheduled for the 13th, on the very first day you will be reaching the site, and these are the activities you have to complete for the planning. First, you have to visit the site. You have to go around the site, which is called the reconnaissance, and then you have to prepare a sketch of the site. Everybody have to have a separate sketch of the site, including all the boundaries and all important details. And after that, you have to decide what is your controls survey. First, you have to establish the survey polygon, and you decide what is the survey technique. You are free to decide whether it is traverse or triangulation, whatever the survey technique. Then establish the survey stations. You have to drive the pegs and take all the time measurements. Right? And also plan for the contour survey. And after that, you have to prepare a work schedule based on the equipments available, which will be explained later. So these are the activities you have to complete during the first day, right? And after that, in the evening, so the first assessment is planned on the 13th December. At the evening, your planning work will be evaluated. Right? So your planning will be evaluated. There is an assessment, and if it is done up to a satisfactory level, then you will be proceeded. So you can collect the equipment from the next day morning and start your measurements. If not, you have to redo the planning work, but remember, no additional time will be provided. So you have to compensate it from your field measuring time. So if your planning work is poor, you will not be granted to take the equipment. Then you have to do the planning work on the next day. Then those who pass the planning assessment, they can start the measurement. On the next day, early morning, they can collect the equipment and go to the site and start. When you measure the primary angles, so these are the conditions, right? Whether it is traverse, triangulation, or any survey technique, you have to measure the angles for 2 sets, which is RR00 and LL180. whether you use a theodolite or total station. For primary angles, you have to measure it for 2 sets. For the length measurements, if you are using traverse, then you are allowed to use the total station. You can take the length measurement using EDM. Then you have to do the detailing part. For the detailing, all permanent buildings, all permanent features should be traced. So you have to take the measurements to plot all the important permanent features and also drainage paths, roads, footpath, and all the roads. Then natural features which you think that which is important, something like rock outcrops, large trees, etc. And also the difficult land terrains, marshlands or slopes, deep slopes, you have to plot, because when you consider the engineering project, you have to consider those difficult land forms. And also you have to take the measurements for contour surveying. For the contour surveying, you have to first establish benchmarks in your sites, and to take the spot levels, you can use the grid leveling. You can use a combination of grid leveling, tachymetry, and if the because the total station per group will be provided on rotation. Mainly you have to use it for the basic length measurement, and also if time permits, you can use it for detailing. Right? Whatever the measurement you are taking, the precision and accuracy is important, and you have to take these recordings. The neatness and clarity of field recordings would be very important for the assessment. For the grid leveling, you can use the established grids either parallel to the primary network, or you can use it parallel to north-south direction and east-west direction. And also you can use tachymetry. So you can use something like in this figure, you can use a combination where part of the land is covered by leveling, the part is by total station, and part by tachymetry. Somehow you have to make sure that entire land is covered, otherwise you are in trouble when you are making the contour maps. And when you do the calculation for the plotting calculation, especially if you use the traverse, then these checks and calculations must be provided, because in order to confirm the accuracy. If it is a traverse, the angle misclosure, so these things should be checked. The bearing calculations, length corrections, the closing error, especially the linear misclosure, then the reduced level calculation, and the contouring. For the contouring, you are supposed to do the manual contouring as well as using digital terrain modeling softwares. These ones would be introduced while the camp is in progress. Then you have to produce 2 separate plots in A1 size paper, 2 separate plots for detailed survey and for the contour survey. Right? You can select a suitable scale, suitable standard scale, something like 100, 200, 250 or 500, etc. And mark all the survey stations and show the primary network is important. So you have to include the primary network in your both plots, and all construction lines. Right? For the detailing, all these construction lines should be produced in a lightweight, right? And it is very important that we are maintaining a notice board in the camp, and every day you have to refer the notice board with all the notices and the important information would be conveyed through the notice board. So you are supposed to refer the notice board regularly. And the main assessment, which is the milestone 2, which is scheduled for the 20th, which is taking the highest weight in the assessment, where your plot will be plot and your recordings, all your calculations, individual recordings, and everything would be assessed during this. Right? So if you pass this assessment, if your final plots are acceptable, then you are allowed to proceed for the next step, that is engineering survey, the setting out and other parts. If you are not up to the satisfactory level, then you have to repeat it and somehow correct it. And if it depends on the level of your work. Sometimes if the remaining time is not sufficient to recover the work you have done, then you may have to leave the site and maybe enter with the next year. Sorry. Then if your milestone 2, the second or the main assessment is okay, then you can proceed for the setting out. In your drawing, we will mark a part of your engineering project, if it is a building or dam axis or what kind of element would be marked in your drawing. Then you have to first set up. You have to do the engineer setting out of that particular element in the ground by taking the necessary details from the drawing. So the decided or the proposed project would be marked on your drawing, right? Then you have to set out that in the ground, and also you have to take you have to do the necessary calculations, something like cut and fill calculations for that proposed project, right? So then the third assessment, that is the setting out one, would be assessed on the site. So once you finish setting out, you have to inform us, then that will be evaluated on the site. Then if it is passed, then you can enjoy and finish the camp. If failed, there's no time to recover, because this is the late end of the survey camp. Then again, you have to leave the survey camp, right? And usually or customarily, we had this campfire at the end of the survey camp, but due to this prevailing situation, that is doubtful, right? And the last assessment, that is this will be done after you return to the university or later, and you have to produce a report and a combined drawing, right? You have to produce a combined drawing. If time permits, you can do this at the camp itself, especially this drawing, right? Where you have to superimpose the details and contour into one drawing. The tracing paper will be provided. Mostly we try our best to complete this part also during the camp. And the cross sections and the other necessary calculations you can produce with the comprehensive report. So that report, the final submission, the final drawings and the report, that will be submitted to the university, maybe after you return. And so the date will be informed. You have to submit the last part, the report. Then the evaluation. So from the first day itself, the evaluation process is going on. There are, as I mentioned, there are 3 major assessments: the planning work, which contain 10%, and the detailed survey and the contour survey, which containing 45%, which is the main assessment, and the plotting is 15%. Right? So that will be done on the 20th, and also the setting out and the presentation containing 20%. Right? So remember, on this assessment, there are some individual components and also group components. So this is the sample assessment sheet. You can see how the marks are distributed. And the very first one, the 10% for the conduct during the field camp. So that will be for mainly for the discipline, punctuality, proper handling of the instrument and safety, etc. So the conduct during the camp, right? So once you register, once you enter to the survey camp, these 10 marks will be given to you. And based on your indisciplinary or problematic behaviors, so we have to cut some marks. So you will lose marks for indisciplinary and other misconduct, right? So it is your duty to retain those 10% and 10 marks and gain other 90 marks through the exercise, right? For the planning work, sketch, so you can see whether it is group assessment or individual assessment. So even in the detailed mark, uh, detailed survey, your individual recordings would be evaluated. So these individual marks would be assessed, or it will be given based on your field work and your contribution. So remember, it is not just a group work. Within that, there are some individual components also. So that is the major technical part in regarding the survey camp, and there are some general matters, right? So please pay your attention to these ones also. Sorry. Right, attendance is compulsory, so you have to take regularly attend the sessions. Right, attendance is taken. And in safety, especially, you have to pay the attention for this COVID pandemic situation. So use the protective equipments and maintain the social distancing as much as possible. Because you have to obey for the safety regulations, especially during the stay and dining times. The institution regulations, so you have to follow them thoroughly. Then the punctuality, so you have to be there by 7 a.m. and there would be some evening sessions, the putting and calculation, and also there are some introductory sessions, right? The accommodation would be on shared basis, so we have to be very careful and behave responsibly. So food will be provided at the dining area. Then instruments. So we are conducting this with very limited number of equipment, right? So the safety of the equipment is up to you, and also if you need any additional equipment, right, depending on the availability, will be given. So you have to contact me through your instructor, right? So discipline is a very important one, as I told earlier. You have to retain the 10 marks already you have when you enter the survey camp, right? And data entry is very important. So all your observations, all the measurements you are taking, right, you have to enter in the survey field book, which is already with you. So please bring the survey field book before you leave from your home. Please take the survey field book, right? All the entries, when all the entries you are making on should be in ink. So you, no pencil recordings. So you have to enter the observations in a permanent way, right? And also it should be in your own field book. So it is illegal to make recordings in somebody else's book, because you should be responsible for whatever entered in your field book, because that will be evaluated, that will be assessed. So you have to be responsible for all the entries in your field book. Therefore, it is a risk to allow somebody else to record in your field book, right? And also, no rough recordings. So we consider that as illegal one, right? You cannot record anything elsewhere than your field book. Whatever the recording you make, you have to make in your recording book in a permanent way, right? No pencil recordings, no rough recordings. The dress code, wearing shoes is compulsory. So definitely you have to wear a pair of shoes. And we have limited number of gum boots that will be issued upon your request and based on the availability. And a name tag will be given to you. And whenever you leave your accommodation, you have to wear the name tag, so that because there are some outsiders also, everybody should be able to identify the Open University undergraduates. Then clothes suitable to survey camp can be wear, and the other protective ones, hats, caps, and sunglasses are optional, so you can wear as you wish, right? And carrying of instruments, that is also very important one, as I told earlier, right? We have a limited number of equipments. Most of these instruments would be rotated, because you will not be getting the same equipments throughout the camp, right? Therefore, if you uh, damage any equipment, that will affect the entire batch. So you have to use the instruments very carefully. And also these small items can be misplaced, so that will be a double penalty, because once you have to pay for these losings, and also you will lose marks for bad instrument handling. So if you miss or damage uh, the equipment, you will be penalized twice, right? Uh, if there's any instrument in malfunction, again you can contact me through your instructor, right? So these are the general uh, technical matters and the general matters regarding this. And if you have any question, whatever, we can discuss once we are there in the survey camp. So please, once again, I summarize the essential things you have to bring. The shoes, it is very important. The clothes should be suitable for field work, right? And also the field book, right? The drawing papers and other things would be provided by the university. Then I wish you all for very fruitful, enjoyable. So that will be actually, this would be the most unforgettable activity in your, maybe in your entire lifetime. So wish you all the best, and hope to see you on 12th evening. Thank you.